Hi, I'm John Wildes.
Hi, I'm Jodi Wildes.
And we run a Jim's Mowing franchise. We've been in it 8.5 years. We have 5 trailers, 11 staff, run out of a factory. My first day, what a cracker. My first day at Jim's was I got up, put a brand new uniform on, hooked up my trailer in the garage, and it was raining. Now it was raining, and it rained, and it rained, and it rained. It was very funny because I had to ring a customer and tell him we were coming, and he said, no, I don't need you anymore. So my first day was no work, and I lost a customer, and all my mates texted me going, this is a good idea, you're not getting paid, you've sat at home all day. So the very next day, my first lead was a body corporate in Wanturno. And this is where Jim's is really good, because I had to put in a proposal. So they helped me put it together, and we put the proposal together, and I thought, we'll never get this. Well, lo and behold, we did. And this was fantastic, because this basically paid my car payment every month. And I thought, how good is this? Well, 8.5 years later, we still have that job. We still have that body corporate company. We do a lot more work there than we ever were employed to do, so it's increased the work and the things we do around the place. So yeah, my first day wasn't great. My second day was just unbelievable. It was fantastic. I didn't like school. I wasn't disciplined at it. I probably got disciplined towards the end, but I'd mucked around a little bit too much in my early days, so I hadn't quite learnt enough. And when I wanted to, I failed English in year 11, which caused me to fail year 11, and off I went to work. My first job was in a milk bar at 12. I've been in sales all my life, so it was a lot of sales, a lot of understanding when customers walked in what they were going to buy. Because in the old days in the milk bar, someone would come in and buy milk and bread, a packet of cigarettes. You knew, and it was routine. So you knew they'd come in and it'd all be on the counter for them. So you sort of learn about customer service. When I left school, I went and worked for my father. So I fell in working for my father. I was probably the first employee my father had and his partner. And so at 17, I went and worked for my dad, and worked for my dad for the next 32 years in his family business. We used to sell picture framing supplies. So we wholesale picture framing supplies all over Australia. For the first few years I worked in retail shops. I went and learned to become a picture framer and managed, from the age of 18, managed 3 framing stores. And then at 21, I started traveling as a salesman. So for the next 26 years, I went away from home every second week, traveled the country, selling picture framing materials to retail outlets.
We met when I was 19. The very next day, I invited him to come to a nightclub, and he said, oh, I can't, I've got to go away for work. And so ever since I've known him, he's gone away for work, and he's travelled, and even our early married life, he travelled, and then when he started Jim's, then he stopped travelling. And at first we weren't quite sure whether that was going to be a good thing or not.
I thought if I don't make a change now, I was maybe 45, and I thought if I don't make a change now, I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life. I always believe you've got to think about what you're doing. Is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? And I came up with the answer, no, it's not what I want to do for the rest of my life. I saw Jim on the Today Show once, and I always remember Jim saying you turned it into $1 billion industry. It sort of resonated with me, and I thought about it, and then off I went and rang my franchisor, which was Jared O'Shaughnessy in those days, and went out, wandered around. I looked at, went out with about probably half a dozen different people. Also used to stop if I saw a Jim's franchise. Didn't have to, it might have been mowing, it could have been antenna, it could have been anything, plumbing, antennas. And I'd talk to the people about what Jim's was like. And a few of the other older guys that I'd gone out with had been there a while, I didn't really research other companies, but they'd sort of said to me, there's other things where they're really not as friendly to their franchisees. It's sort of, you're on your own. The more I talked to everyone, it was just a good system. Yeah, I just inquired about Jim's, went off and did it, bought a franchise and everything, signed all the paperwork, then went and saw my father and said, no, I'm leaving. And he had, unbeknownst to him, and I told his business partner that I was leaving. And Dad was as happy as Larry. Dad couldn't be happier. He had no animosity towards it. He was very pleased that we were going off to do something on our own.
Because he'd done all the research, what we were going into, and there was the opportunity then of it being more family friendly, and we had a young son and things to do with him. He was heavily involved in swimming, so at first it was sort of more like that, you know, John would be able to do more things with him, and I was still working, so I was working full time. So I knew it would be okay, and it's something he's wanted to do for a long time. He's always had that interest in gardening and mowing and stuff like that.
I can remember sitting in the auditorium up in the back right-hand corner and was just mesmerised for the 6 days. I've still got piles of notes that I wrote at my training 8.5 years ago. They're still in my office. I don't refer to them now, but I always did back in the old days. I got a lot out of training. I think training's nowadays improved even more. So developing our business, so we came up with a plan. I'm big on planning. So I always remember at training people talking about real estate agents. So that's a big part of our business, is property management and getting properties ready for sale. So I always wanted a real estate agent. It probably took 6 months. And the first job I ever did for a real estate agent was at $35 plus GST, a tiny little backyard for a property manager. And I went out there and met the property manager, and he said, oh, how good was the service? You turned up straight away. Everything was done in an instant. So we developed it from this real estate agent. Now we still do their work. So we've done their work for probably about nearly 8 years now. And property managers move, which is really good for your business. So they move to another real estate, say in the area, and then they'll ring you. So that sort of develops your business. So a lot of that's just grown from, word of mouth. It's nothing more than word of mouth. Our staff, our business has increased. We're doing a lot more commercial stuff. So we run 5 trailers. We run 9 staff and Jodi and myself. I don't think people actually know what customer service is anymore. Like, you go to most shops now, there is no service. You've even got to pay yourself. So my one was trying to get quotes in as quick as we can. We still do. There's times we fail because we get really busy, but we communicate well with the customer. When this does happen, we will tell them we've got a small delay, so they're not sitting waiting. When you employ staff, it's not, some people will go staff and you need to get financial reward from the staff. They need to do so much work. For me, it's building a big team and developing staff as human beings. So again, it's the process of developing people that you employ into better human beings. So they're happier when they come to work, they want to come to work, they're in a better place in society, they can communicate with customers. So we really trust the staff to be able to communicate with the customer. We've got a couple of staff that can't hardly talk to a customer, but I get them to communicate with the customer, and they've developed really well. So they've come out of their shell, and that again is all a part of that process. It's getting all those processes right and trusting the people that we employ to do what we want them to do.
I never dreamed that it would be as big as it's got, and I still work full time, so it's certainly not. I mean, it would allow me to stop working, but I would have to curb a lot of my spending and stuff like that. So that's not happening at the moment.
Like every young family, we had a child in private school, which was our choice. So that was a huge expense. And we were not struggling financially, but money was always at the end of the day, we had to make sure we could pay our bills. So as we've gone along and we've got more financially secure, that has made me really happy, because we just don't have to worry about that sort of thing. Have I reached my goals? Well, not quite. I still need to hit a few more marks. Me working a little less. When I say working a little less, and you have to work hard. To get to where anyone is in life, you have to work. At some point, you've got to work hard. Every day we fail at something. We fail, or I think we fail. So for me, failure is a great thing, because failure is how you learn, and you try and improve from those mistakes. They're not, life-threatening or great mistakes, but they're tiny mistakes where we could get better at what we do. So there's still a lot of life to reach those goals. Long term, my son's a landscaper. So long term, I'm trying to build a business where my son will come into the business and he will carry the business on. And then I can still work in the business, because I don't plan on giving up retiring, not in the next 15 years even. I'd still like to work a few days a week, potter around. So when I bring my son into the business, then I have the ability to be able to do that, still do things and help him and still work and still feel like I'm achieving and giving back to society and helping staff and other people. Yeah.